welcome to Something Special Sunday, and this week I'm dropping a video all about xTool. So, I did a demo at the ACT Woodcraft Guild yesterday, and what I did was I laser cut and engraved this out with my actual wife's name. And what I'm going to record today is the process that I did to actually get to this stage. So, bit I'm not going to include is that I took the measurements. This is a book cover, and so what I have done is I took the measurements in between the perforated holes on the original cover, and I made these tabs down the bottom, so that is the main area of the cover. And then I converted an image into a vector one, which allowed me to have a score, an engrave, and a cut all inside. So the red section inside the Pirates logo there are all cut lines. I'm going to now delete these layers and start again. So just so that you can see exactly how I did it. So what I did is I started with an image. This is the Canberra Pirates logo. And what I did was I took it, because it's already a vector image, it's already fairly straightforward. I was able to use the built-in tool called Trace. So that one is just located up the top. This is xTool Studio. So up the top here, when you've got an image, specifically an image, it allows you to do things so you can adjust it, you can change the contrast and all kinds of things like that. Over on the left here, if you've gone to the adjust panel. The other thing you can do is cut it out. So if it's got a white background or something, you can cut it out. I did that beforehand in Photoshop, just because it's a bit easier for me. The other thing you can do is crop it down. So instead of having the entire blank space out there, you can bring it down to the actual size of the image. And mask is something that I have not used because it's not something I've needed. And trace is something that I use on almost every job that I'm working with an image of some sort. So for an image like this specifically, it's got different colors. So we have the white, we have the black, we have the green. And so if I switch it over to layer by color, so just on the left here, there's a checkbox with parameter. And then I sit here and I play with the fuzziness threshold. So I think I've got to go down for this one. Yeah, so if I go down, you'll notice it's now identified all the gaps in between. Now this is a really cool logo. I really like it. And being able to give it a nice clean vector finish just takes it from the realm of an image into something that's workable. So I will now hide that image because I've got the main one here. There is a couple of things that I have to do to make this functional with cuts, because right now all of it is a single thing. So if I were to engrave it, it would engrave everything. Basically, it would see no difference in between the green and the black. If I were to cut it, it would cut it all out as individual pieces. So first thing I've got to do is I've actually got to select a specific layer, which is the green layer, if I want to make these cuts, and I will copy that. I've just got Control-C, Control-V, and then I just use the auto align feature. So with the snapping, you'll see how it's now got a cross across the section. Now, let me zoom in so it's a little bit easier to see. I move it back off to the side. So I bring it back in, and it does a blue line across and up and down. And that is saying that it's aligned to the actual image itself. So if I now change that one to red, I now want to make sure I'm not cutting around the outside. So I need to edit the compound, and I will just start selecting anywhere that I do not want to cut and just remove them. Okay, so all these other little spots are going to be cut lines. Alright, so all of those are now cut lines, and we will now go back to this original one and do the same thing and edit the compound, but we're going to remove anywhere that is a cut. Because what we don't want it to do is we don't want it to score over where it's already been cut out. So we want it to score around the outside, but we don't want it to score around the inside because that will just be scoring through something that's already getting cut off. So that is all of those done. Looking real good, in fact. then we've got the main pirate. So we switch that to engrave. We've got, alright, so that was a few little extra lines on the hockey puck. I just removed those because they were going to cause problems in the actual pattern. So we've got a score. So any of the green around the black is going to get scored. And along the inside of the black, there is also the green layer. If I hover over that, anywhere that's lit up as light blue, is there a way to... Yeah, so if I do that, that makes the blue stand out. So those are all the score lines, those are all the cut lines, and those are all the engrave sections. So black is engrave, green is score, red is cut, and that is the pirate ready to go. So I will hide that for a second, and I will start to build the actual cut for the book cover. So I need a rectangle. I need it. Mine is running in millimeters because we're on the metric system. So I know that my book width needs to be 230 by 300. A little bit of a gotcha here on this software can be the aspect locked. Make sure that's not highlighted. Alright, so what I need to do is I need to make the gaps for all of the current areas. So I'll do that, but I will now change this. It's going to be 7.32. And I'm going to make it 5 high. Now I need to put it inside here. Alright, so I have now created the square, well, rectangle. So it's 7.32 wide by 5, and I've got them sitting square. Now I need to bump this down by 3 millimeters. So I'll take that from 20 to 23 up the top here. So our x-axis and our y-axis. X is across, y is up and down. Now it's time to move into an application. So xTool offers all kinds of really cool stuff. And in this one, we're going to use a grid array. So this is making a grid where I can do as many columns or as many rows, up to 20 as I want. So we only want one column, but we want 20 rows, and we want them spaced at 3.5 millimeters. I'm going to make this array that can be edited later. Because then if I need to change any spacings, I can just go up the top here and edit. And so all I'm going to do now is Control-C, Control-V, change that and change from 20 to 15. Now I want to put that there, and we want to maintain the 3.5 mil gap. So that needs to go to 193. Which has now got us perfectly spaced. The other thing I need to do now, before I can do any fusing or welding of these, I need to convert these into flattened items. So basically taking them into vector squares instead of an editable array. So I've got those. I can now select them all. We can do a combined subtract. And as you can see, we now have the cutout for the squares. And that is effectively the bookbinder done. So we now can bring back our vector group. Resize that entire group to something more manageable and something that's going to look good. For me, it's fairly even space. But again, we can use these blue lines and you'll see that that is now central within that square, or the book cover more to the point. Now we're going to go over to the left-hand side here and select the text tool, so that I can put my wife's name in. Now what I've done is put an enter in between each one and then a couple in between the two words. Now there's a couple of little things that I'm going to do with this to try and make it a bit easier to manage. So we're going to align this to center. Now we are going to, because the size should be alright, we're going to take out the leading space and just get the letters a little bit closer but not overlapping. We do need to reduce the size a little bit. Coming from the side here, which means it'll stay aligned. And there we go. So I've got that on a score. So also to help with remembering which one I'm on, I will make sure the score lines are the same. So I could engrave this, I could cut it out with tabs, or I could just score it and have nice outlined letters. So the next step we would do on the actual xTool is we would select the material. Now, something that I mentioned during the demo and something that Stephen Jarrett was very, very, very adamant that we include in the example is the material library that comes with the xTool software. And as you can see, plenty of different types of wood. So if we've needed plywood or if we wanted to go hardwoods, so there is plenty in there. And the other thing is you can always add these out to the community. So if we've got Australian hardwoods that aren't in here, then we can do test prints and we can go add materials, and with a picture of it, they can then acknowledge and add it into the library. So for example, ash wood, that works really well for claret ash. So claret ash is really similar to the European white ash, and it just works really well. But in saying that, there's all kinds of other things. Like if we come down to the metals, it's got all kinds of stuff like drink bottles and things like that where we can remove the anodizing. Now, for this one, I'm using plywood, but I'm actually using a eucalypt plywood. And I've found that the best settings for my 3mm, so I just do a quick search for 3mm, 3mm ply. I'll now only see 3mm plies as the options. And what I found that with the marine ply that I use, the best one for that is the basswood. For some reason, the settings look almost identical. And I have experimented across, but again, each laser machine is slightly different and they perform slightly differently. They're never identical, and so it comes down to you've got to do the hard work of doing some test prints and figuring out the settings that you like. And so once that's in there, you'll see that it's outside the actual workable area of the machine. So I would rotate this around to get that inside. I would put a piece of plywood inside. I would use the automatic marking system that I've shown in other videos. So that's just going to mark area. It won't do it because I'm not connected to my machine, but you mark the area. So yeah, while I was running this yesterday, it took about an hour and a half to run. We stood around having a chat, going over a few things, and some of the stuff out there that people have been making, and they shared them with us as well. They were really, really, really cool. All right, so what happened was one of the gentlemen that came to the demo brought a laser cut nerdy-gurdy. And what it is an instrument that you wind the end and it rotates the main string, playing along, and then you've got the keys to play. And it was really interesting because it sounds almost like a set of bagpipes, just without being obnoxious. Watching him play that was really cool. So he had done a design at the bottom, top, and something in the middle, and then he had gold gilded the entire top panel up here, and the whole thing just looked absolutely stunning. It's a lot of fun, and it's showing that we're getting out there and having a bit of fun getting out there in the community, and people are starting to adopt the mindset that technology's in woodworking, whether they want to admit it or not, and it can do great things. Anyway, while the sped up time lapse here of the footage runs, I'm just going to give a little bit of spiel and a thanks. So thanks to Steve Nelson for organising this. He's the SIG leader for the ACT Woodcraft Guild, and the SIG is Computers in Woodworking. And a huge shout out to the ACT Woodcraft Guild, who are actually getting on board and getting behind the initiatives of not staying in the past and locking yourselves in. Because if you stuck yourself in the mindset that nothing can ever evolve in woodworking, then you're staying on hand tools for the rest of your life. But just don't be using any kind of machinery to sharpen anything, because you can't. So stay with your honing stones, because advances in technology come and they often assist. So yeah, another topic that got discussed at while we were going over this was there was a couple of scroll saw people and pyrography people, and they were talking about potentially using something like a laser engraver for outlining their work. So instead of printing out and then gluing on a design for scroll saw, you could do up a little file for where you're going to cut. So do your cut lines with a score, and it would take you maybe 5 minutes. You don't have to wait for the glue to dry. You just full send it and you're laughing. So it might speed up the process for people who are doing scroll saw, because while yes, you can cut fairly thick with a laser, you get scorched lines, and I think the clean cut that you get off a scroll saw is a little bit prettier. So I do appreciate that, and I like to make sure we stay in our lanes. So yes, you can cut, yes, it leaves a scorch, and sometimes it's just nicer not to have that. But as for the absolute accuracy and beautiful crisp lines that you get from an engraving, which is something that I really enjoy and why I use it, because I do get beautiful crisp lines, and that's the main reason this gets used for doing the bottom of my bowls. So when I do the bottom of my bowls, the main reason for that is my handwriting with a pyrography pen is not legible. And I know that there's other people that have arthritis and other concerns with their hands that stops them from being able to do fairly neat writing, or sometimes completely legible writing. And so this enables me to be able to do a nice signature. So I could, on a good day with my hands, do a signature and then take that signature into software, convert it into an engraving file, and it's my actual signature that's getting used instead of just a piece of software. So there is things that can be done to make life easier, and it's all about finding them. So I hope you've enjoyed the angle in here. So I had a webcam set up in my laser engraver. This is the first time I've done it. I wasn't overly happy with the angle, so I figured out a couple of different ways to do this moving forward, and hopefully we'll get a better view of the engraving. As you can see, this solid beam is running 100% power doing the cut line. It is doing the main cut around the outside, and yeah, so it's just doing those zigzags. I haven't fiddled with the focus on the camera yet, because that was happening constantly, in and out, in and out, in and out. And then I had to do a second run of the cuts, because some of them hadn't cut the whole way through. But because I hadn't moved it, I was able just to do that quickly. And I thought, while I was at it, send it for a second run at the same time. Just absolutely guarantee they are cut the whole way through. And yeah, this has been sped up quite dramatically. I think I'm running at about 500 times speed here. That's 5 times. And yeah. Anyways, last lap. So, thanks for watching. If you're from the ACT Woodcraft Guild and this has been shared to you, then thank you very much. And I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Thank you very much for listening to me ramble, and I hope you have a great one. Cheers, guys.